Welcome to a special episode of Mighty Car Mods where we're going to be running through all of the cars currently in the Mighty Car Mods lineup, including a couple of surprises, Marty, like this one.
Figaro. Well, that's all the cars that work and roll and aren't broken and were able to make it here. This is the first one. This is the Figaro. This is my Nissan that you surprised me with because I got a new Nissan. I thought I'd get a GTR or an S15 or an S13 or something epic or a Nissan Xa, but no. Nissan Figaro.
And these are part of the special, there's like the Payo, the Escargot, the Figaro, which was like Nissan trying to do some cute thing, right? But they're all the same platform.
These were limited edition and you had to enter a lottery to win an opportunity to even own it. It's a 4-cylinder, 1-litre, turbo, auto, super comfy, super heavy. It actually needs the turbo to even move. But these are really nice to drive, comfy. It's convertible. It's got all sorts of like cool mod cons. One of the first cars to have a full CD player. It's got aircon, it's got electric aerial, it's got all this cool stuff. That's very, very early 90s.
Yeah, it's legit one of the coolest cars in the garage, I reckon. That is the Nissan Figaro. Of course, next up is Yaris Hilton.
In its current state.
Our completely stock Toyota Yaris. We thought we'd bought a 1.5 litre. When it turned up, of course, it was a 1.3 litre with a check engine light.
Whoops.
We've done absolutely nothing to this car at all, other than it's got some Workmeisters, some Bridgestone Potenza RE003s. We recently took it around a track in its stock form. We got 1 minute 12. Then with the better tyres on it, we've got 1 minute 7, I think, so 5 seconds off. And then Chaz Mostert, who's a supercar driver, took it around. He got a 106, so he got a second faster than us. It's actually really fun in this format. When we first bought it, it completely sucked. But with these wheels and tyres, it's actually a fun car. Today we took it out on the motor car and it was great.
Which is why it should be your first modification. Good wheels, good tyres. Problem solved. Speaking of good wheels and good tyres and good everything, at least for me, this is Super Cramps. It's a bit dirty because I just drove it in a motor car and I had a lot of fun. Did 4-wheel skids, that was awesome. This is a 2003 Subaru Liberty. We engine swapped it, EZ36. A lot of people know about this car. It's got a Garrett turbo, it's got E85, big injectors, big fuel pump, and it's one of the few cars in the Mighty Car Mod Garage that we consider finished. We've done a whole lot of work to it and it's just at a stage now where it's just awesome to drive, modified, fast, does everything I could want it to.
It's got absolutely beautiful custom paint, which is called Squid Ink or MCM Squid Juice. It's got the new Haltech dash in it as well, and this car is just, it absolutely moves. 300 kilowatts at the wheels, which is 400 horsepower, and it is probably the most drivable car low down that is in the fleet.
It's just versatile, that's why I love it, does everything.
Now, speaking of does everything, that's not this car, but this is, of course, our Mighty Car Mods Mini. So this is a 1998 JDM or J-Spec Mini, a Rover. This one has been engine swapped with a B16B from a Civic Type R. It's got absolutely ridiculous torque steer, but what a lot of people don't realise about Minis is because the way they're designed, the wheels are on the far corners. There is enough room for 4 adults in there, believe it or not. My first car was a Mini, so this is kind of reliving the dream in a way. A very, very cool car. When it gets on VTEC, the sound is just absolutely ridiculous
and it's
scary.
Fast.
But what an awesome car. Like, it's just green leather inside and wood. Like, it's just ridiculous. But this car is an absolute keeper forever. Probably, again, one of my favourite cars in the Mighty Car Mods fleet.
And I know another one of his favourites is definitely this, which is our Fair Lady Z that we went to Japan to go and get. Yeah,
so this one here is, if you're familiar with this story, originally came with an L20, a 2-litre engine, a little bit sluggish, but yes, it has the purity. Due to asbestos rules and regulations importing stuff, the engine and gearbox and a bunch of parts didn't make it. So this one's been engine swapped with an RB26 from a GTR. It's got a diff from a R34 GTS T. Single turbo now, doesn't run on ethanol or anything, still running on 98. 330 kilowatts at the wheels, weighs around a ton.
It's date night car. It's cool.
It's date night car. Someone on the internet worked out it's the power to weight ratio of a Bugatti Veyron. I'm believing him because it sounds good. It did have 15 watt narbis on it before, which I think just looked perfect, but they didn't fit over all the brakes and stuff, so we had to go to 17s.
And you want big brakes on a car like this when you're pulling that kind of power with an engine like that, you can't really rely on the old brakes, which yes, fit the wheels and look amazing, but nah, rather stop.
It's a little bit laggy down low once you get used to kind of more modern cars like Focus RSs and Golfs, but when it comes on, it is absolutely ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, Martys Keeper.
This Mira, this is definitely a keeper. This has had arguably more hours spent on it than any other car in the Mighty Car Mods garage. Super Gramps would be close to it just because of how long we've had it. But this thing, we went and drifted in Japan. Well, not this exact car, but we went and drifted a car that looked exactly like this. And now an Australian Mira has all the bits from that car because that's the only way we could get it into the country. Full paint job, full interior strip, new floor in the back,
custom wheels,
full drive conversion, custom made wheels, custom flares that we did ourselves from eBay. The list goes on and on. It's one I'm really proud of. We've put a lot of effort and work in just trying to get this as good as we possibly can. And it's a lot of fun to drive now as well. 3-cylinder, turbo, 0.6 litre, proper K car. You could drive this around Japan and with little yellow plates on it.
Very zingy, very sizzly.
Yeah.
It is the stir fry of the car world.
It is actually a K car. It's a sports car in the K world.
Yeah.
It does drive really like a mini WRX, I guess, is the closest you get to it.
It's very cool. Next up, of course, no surprises here. It's a Mark 7 Golf R. This was a 2015 Wolfsburg model. In terms of exterior, all I've done is just blacked out everything that was chrome before. The idea of doing this car, I've had a few Golfs. I've had a Mark 3, a 4, 2 Mark 5s, a Mark 6, and we're originally going to be modifying the Mark 6, and then someone said the Mark 7s respond way better, the all-wheel drive system is way better. So I traded in the Mark 6 and got this one. The Haldex was flogged, the battery was flogged, the stereo was flogged, but it was cheap. And then the idea of this was to spend a weekend and try and see if we could make it as fast as a supercar. So we went down to Hills Euro House. Revo supplied their power kit, or their stage 3 kit, whatever it is they call it, but it's basically turbo, front mount, exhaust, wheels, brakes, fuel pumps. It runs on 98 as well, makes 280 kilowatts at the wheels.
On 98, which is pretty awesome.
Amazing. Best quarter mile time so far is 11.2. 0 to 100 time we've recorded 2.8 seconds, which is properly ridiculous. So this is our Golf R supercar, and it's really easy for us just to keep doing Japanese nuggets, but I was really interested to see how the rest of the world does it. When we went to Germany recently and bought a Golf GTI, over there, because of their really stringent kind of rules, people are just doing raps and tunes, and that is the way that they do it over there. That kind of stuff hasn't quite hit in Australia yet, but this is how a lot of people do it, so it's good to see how that works.
Something different and amazing with something this modern, because this is one of the newest cars we've ever owned, I think.
Yes.
Amazing how capable it is, especially with that automatic gearbox, which is like worth a second on the quarter mile. Like, it's incredible.
Because the gear changes just bar, bar, bar. Now, it's the first automatic that I've had. Now, people don't say it's not an automatic. It's, if it doesn't have a gear stick, it's an automatic as far as I'm concerned. But I just wanted to go as fast as I could, as efficiently as possible, and that's what this does. Now, speaking of fast,
and you know how you'll know when someone owns a Golf? They'll tell you. Don't you worry. And they'll talk about it for
CrossFit
ages.
Golf vegans, they'll tell you all about it.
This is an Evo that looks really familiar, and I had a dream about it once.
Is it even here, man?
Well, I don't know, but it is somehow. And it was in my dream, and now it's here. So maybe someone else owns it. I don't exactly know.
This is the Evo to get. It's the Evo
This is
dreams,
an Evo 9.
It,
now, what's interesting about Evo 9s is, especially when you compare it to something like this. So this is 10 years older than that. And it shows, but this is still a capable car. Like, these things can keep up with this kind of thing, yet they won't be as comfortable and maybe as practical and nice to own, but they have this sort of rawness about them. People call them analog cars because there's not that many computers interfering with the way that you drive it, whereas this just has an engine computer, and that's kind of it.
On a track, this will keep up with a supercar straight up. And this is a very fast, capable car.
They're pretty amazing. So, you know, Evo 9, there you go. I like them. I really like them. I don't know if I'd own one, but I really like them. But what I definitely would own
Too Sexy,
which is, I think, a bit of a crowd favourite.
Dude,
For some reason.
This car, what quarter mile time did you run today?
Today I ran a 12.6.
12.6.
With wheel spin, all the way through first, second, and halfway third. In third gear, it hooked up at about 120 k's an hour.
So this was a sex spec show car that, of course, battled with Twisted. And originally this car was, I mean, let's be honest, it was an absolute joke, but we pulled it apart, completely stripped it, and Marty fell in love with it. What was meant to be a joke turned into something that he really liked. It's now got an AGI cage in it, it's got a race seat, it's got harness, it's got a Haltech. Runs ethanol, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's still front wheel drive. So, I mean, it runs 230 something kilowatts, and it has a nice diff in the front of it, a wave track diff, and it is a nice car to drive on the road, but this has been turned into basically a track car, full cage, all that sort of stuff, so it's super safe. And doing today exactly what it's designed to do, take it on the quarter mile,
and
take it on the...
people.
Yeah, chopping people, take it on the motor car and just have a great time. Cool little track car, and something that, like, why get rid of it? It's great, it's awesome, it has so much potential.
Yeah, and it's fun.
It is.
Speaking of fun, the most fun I had today, of course, was in ModMax. This is our kind of modified S15. So this was an S15 Silvia. It was a stat write-off. It was never allowed to be registered again, which is why we turned it into this. Marty and I actually went to kind of like a scrap heap, and like this stuff here is all bits of trampolines, just whatever scrap that we could find. Originally, we made this for roadshow pictures. It was used to promote the Mad Max Fury Road film. Since then, it's appeared in a couple of TV commercials. So it's basically completely stripped out on the inside, as you can see, just absolutely nugget spec, but it's running an LS1 V8 Zoomer pipes coming straight out the bonnet.
In case you're wondering why there's a bunch of tinfoil in here, when it rains, it's very, very important that your engine doesn't get water in it. So that's the anti-rain device.
That is probably one of our most recognisable cars. It's super loud, it's super crazy.
It's really fun.
Never been washed,
and isn't
really
it,
fun.
It's forgiving to drift. Like, it's an awesome car to drift. You wouldn't think so. We also took this on the quarter mile a little while ago and it did 12.9.
Yeah, which I only did like a 13 today.
And that's more or less a
very good job.
Stock LS. Like, there's not that much else going on there. Something comparable that we have over here is the Subaru Outback, which we did for the Super Cheap Auto Commercial. They want a car that could sort of do everything, go anywhere, be a
the
good,
ultimate nemesis,
be a
Martin.
good all-rounder. And this is kind of what Subarus do. So we jacked it up, 2-inch lift kit. It's half Outback, half Liberty. It's got a H6 3-litre engine, pipes out the front. What else? Big mud tyres, trailer wheels, full half cage and seats, harnesses, all the LEDs, everything works on there. This has been a bit of a surprise actually how fun it is. We knew it was never going to be fast. Those motors are not like LS's where they're meant to be
When you're winding it out today though, and we got airborne.
We got airborne in this today.
Epic.
Under power, sideways, drifting, and then 3 wheels off the ground. So surprisingly capable if you really get up it, and forgiving. You can throw it around, you can just have a great time in this thing. So I kind of like it, even though it's not fast or powerful, it's exciting.
There's something special
there
about
is,
it.
Yeah.
Over here, of course, Ford Focus RS, a staple in performance car hatchback world. This one here is pretty special because Marty and I actually went over to the factory in Germany and built this ourselves. Now, by built it ourselves, a lot of the components already exist, but for example, we built the whole front bumper bar, which was, hundreds of components, and got to put a lot of that together ourselves. Since then, it's got a bunch of mount tune stuff on it. In fact, since people have seen it on the show, there's a lot more work that's been done to the car. It's now making 250 kilowatts at the wheels. And the style of this is probably similar to kind of how we did my Golf, which is we wanted something that kind of would look like it could have been a factory option. So people who know go, hey, that's cool. We did put this lip on, but the front of it was always getting cut. So that's been tucked in a little bit there. It's got a front mount, it's got an intake, it's got an exhaust, it's got wheels, got a tune, a lot of power, a lot of fun.
Very capable car.
I would say kind of probably a more agile car than a Golf R and more visceral in terms of its experience. But what the Golf gives you is that kind of like bubble, that Volkswagen bubble of when you're sitting in traffic. So if you're sitting in traffic doing occasional track day, I'd say Golf. If you're just doing track days all the time, then an Evo or Focus RS would be the way to go. Martin, there's a couple of little two-wheeled machines over here.
So this little bad boy here is a Honda Moto Compo. It was an option in about 1981 in a Honda City, and you can put it in the back of your car. You got a hatchback. This is like a trunk bike that folds down into this little thing.
It's like a transformer. It literally folds down into a bag that weighs 40 kilos that goes in your trunk.
And so the idea was you drive your car to the car park, jump in this and drive to the office and then put it in the foyer in Japan where there's not much space for big vehicles like that. So this is got a little 50cc two-stroke. It sounds like a boat. It smells like a boat. And a lot of fun to ride. It only goes 35 k's an hour. Totally registerable, but I don't know about going on the highway in that thing.
Automatically feeds the oil in like an old DS80, you don't have to premix it or something like that.
So much technology. It's got like an oil warning light, all this stuff that, is coming on 40 years old, which is pretty impressive.
Over here, this here is a Honda Zoomer, which is kind of a commuter's bike from Japan. We found this one here on Yahoo Auctions for, I don't know, $200 or $300. And we bought this with our mates over at Import Monster. They brought this one over for us. It's just a really cool bike that's really comfortable. Not registerable, unfortunately, in its current format, but it's a really comfy, cool bike. I'm not really into the step-through thing. I prefer dirt bikes and stuff usually, but it's just, I don't know, don't knock it till you try it. So that is the fleet. Now, there are a few other cars that are not here. We own 4 cars that are in Japan that we can't bring over for a variety of different reasons. We've got about 3 cars that have not been announced yet, and a couple of motorbikes as well, Martin. So there's a few things that aren't here. And of course, we have over here the Lone Ranger, which is our long-term loaner from Ford that we drag all of our stuff around in. When they first came out, we went to New Zealand and did some kind of bush bashing in the Ranger.
We did.
Very capable car. And that is the current fleet, isn't it,
I think the only thing left to do is to ride off into the sunset.
Does yours start?
I don't know.
I don't think mine does. I think mine stopped working.
Yes! You know what that means,
I think my battery's flat.
You know what that means?
Does it mean I'm coming with you?
Yep.
Anyway, thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed checking out the cars of Mighty Car Mods, and you can check them out in more detail in the brand new Cars of Mighty Car Mods book, which is out right now. All the stories and more. Check it out. See you later, gang.